Well, as far as the POXO Act is concerned, I think arrest was imminent, and naturally police custody was bound to happen. And keeping the fact that police custody has now happened, I think the investigation is well under progress. Let's see how things develop.
Right, don't you think this should have happened earlier? Because, you know, the delay and the inaction of the police was being questioned. There was a lot of dilly-dallying. It seemed that the cops were dragging their feet when it came to action against the seer himself.
Well, that is a matter which is, open to debate. But point is that, whatever action that activists were seeking has now occurred. And I think the seer also is now made himself available for investigation. So then I think, there's nothing more that can be said on this issue now.
You know, but the guidelines of the POXO Act, and you know very well, say that the cops don't even need a warrant to interrogate the seer to take immediate action. But what do you have to say about the political support? Because we saw none of the political parties could take a hard stand. Most of them talking about the good work done by the seer. Some also openly backed him, saying this is some sort of a conspiracy against him.
Of course, that's bound to happen because the person is, of such a high profile. Therefore, keeping the fact that, this profile is extraordinarily large, I think, this was bound to happen. But ultimately, things were on track because ultimately, I think, the magistrate had heard the girls, and then the girls had also made a statement before the magistrate. So I think things were okay.
All right, Brijesh Kalapa, thank you very much for joining us with your views. Let's go back to Imran, who continues to be with us on the broadcast. Imran, as far as the political support is concerned, none of the political parties, in fact, took a hard stand, a strong stand, and most of them seem to be reaching out to the seer and the support base and to their vote banks, to the Lingayat community. But as far as the courts are concerned, a massive setback for the seer from the court, the granting of the police custody, which now means that the custodial interrogation can take place. Remember, allegations were leveled against the police for dragging their feet when it came to arresting the seer, interrogating him. We saw accused number 2 being interrogated first and arrested.
Well, absolutely, the entire political class, whether it's opposition or ruling, of course, they came in support of Swamiji, but then the opposition was entirely silent on this issue. They didn't want to antagonize the majority community there, and considering the vote bank and the elections next year, there is also a murmur within the Congress party that many of the senior leaders feel that both the opposition leader Siddaramaiah and the party president D.K. Shivkumar should have spoken up about this issue. And even though the Rahul Gandhi met him, but he should have said that this is a matter of investigation, and the law should have taken its own course. Instead, what we saw was that the party, most of the leaders refrained from commenting on it and were supportive of it. They were silent. And when D.K. Shivkumar, the party president, spoke, he said that he is a noble man. He has done many good works, and he does not want to comment anything further from that. The same kind of statement which given by the Home Minister that said he seems to be a part of a conspiracy. The two former Chief Ministers, Jagdish Shettar and B.S. Yediyurappa, coming in support of the seer. Sitting ministers, Umesh Katti, saying that we will ensure that no FIR will be filed against Swamiji. More powerful MLAs from the North Karnataka go visiting Mutt every day, who were confronted by my colleague Deepak. They were cutting across political parties, in fact. Both BJP and JDS and Congress there, they said that Swamiji is part of a conspiracy. Very clearly, he enjoyed the political patronage, and what we know that many of the powerful ministers and the leaders cutting across political parties try to ensure that Swamiji is not arrested. But due to the fact that the media reported continuously, and my colleague Deepak was relentless in that covering the day and night on this issue, and then the fact that public pressure built up, Dalit communities stepped up the protest, saying that because it's a Dalit girl, even the opposition parties are not speaking about it, and they said it's shameful on the part of the opposition parties that injustice happened and they're not speaking about it.
Right.
The political pressure, the civil society and the media pressure led to this arrest of the Swamiji. Even now at the last minute, they try to get him into hospital, ensuring that he has
so
on health
next,
grounds.
Imran, will the seer be taken back to the hospital for further assessment, or directly the police will take him for interrogation?
We have to wait and see what the police does, because they're keeping all the movements very, very strict, confidential. So we have to see what they done, what we'll do, but we will monitor and we will continue to report about what the police action and inaction both is being done in this case.
Well, at this point of time, we see the entire issue gathering a lot of pace. Ever since that particular arrest, several interesting turn of events have been witnessed. After the arrest, the seer complained of chest pain, and then he was taken to the hospital, from there directly to the ICU. Now, as far as the court is concerned, 4-day police custody has been granted, but the court also came down heavily on the cops, on the situation of the seer. We have Brinda Adige joining us on the broadcast now. Brinda Adige, after a lot of dilly-dallying, delay in action against the seer, finally what we are witnessing is that the court stepped in. The matter reached the court and the police custody was granted, but not without pulling up the cops themselves.
We are glad the court pulled up the cops. But is that enough? Because the nexus between the politicians and the police has not yet been shattered. The court should have also pulled up the politicians, because politicians came out in support of the alleged perpetrator. Okay, maybe we should feel happy that the courts pulled up the police, and the police must feel ashamed that they have been pulled up by court for following the footsteps of their political masters. But is this what the citizens of this great nation must suffer? As paymasters of both the politicians as well as the state missionary functionaries, why is it that we are being mocked? 14 days of judicial custody at the rate at which we have been listening to this, to all the news. This man has now complained of all kinds of aches and pains and after effects of COVID, that he might go and spend the 14 days in the comforts of the ICU in a hospital and not necessarily in the jail. That is cheating, absolutely cheating. So even if the courts have pulled up the police are now not in any position to actually take his statement and forward such a statement to fair investigation. So justice is certainly going to be hampered further.
All right, Brinda Adige, thank you very much for speaking to us. Let's go back to Imran, who continues to be with us. Imran, the activists are questioning the entire procedure which was in fact followed. Some of them also, still not very confident whether there will be absolute transparency.
Well, that's because of the fact that these kind of cases, the police have, or the state administration have a mechanism to delay in the investigations and filing charge sheets, and it takes years before the justice is finally delivered. By the time the victims are intimidated, they're threatened, the families are threatened that of serious dire consequences, and then they have to retract their statements, and sometimes the justice is lost in the procedural lapse, and as they say, justice delayed and justice denied. This is the kind of immediate arrest is fine, but to reach to its logical conclusion, the investigation has to take further. It needs sustained, pressure on the administration and on the investigation agencies to carry it out. There's also a fatigue issue of the issue. So these are things all we've said. Conviction rates, if you look at the NCRP data of the conviction rates of rapists, it's hardly 4 to 6%. Out of the cases reported. In the case of POCSO cases, we've seen the kind of conviction rates. Conviction rates is very, very, very low in the NCRB data. Close very clearly throws open that. So that is the fear of many of the activists and civil societies and common citizens have, that these cases yes do reported. Some of the accused get arrested, but in the long run they come out because of shoddy investigation and support from powerful lobbies. Now look at this case of Swamiji, they said that he's in ICU, but he was brought in a police van without any oxygen cylinder. How is it some person who is completely in ICU been brought to the court in a police van without any oxygen? How will the doctors will explain this situation? So there is very, very clear, it's very evident on the fact that there is a kind of support. There is still at the last minute they try to ensure that he gets bail on the health grounds, but the court didn't listen to it. They lashed at the police for their lackadaisical attitude. pursued and for keeping the court in dark about his health condition. He's been now said that to be given police custody for 4 days, and they said that if medical ground is required, to provide him immediate medical facility, and if required further for admission. But right now, go to the police custody and go for interrogation. That's the court has said.
Absolutely.